What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Built Different podcast brought to you by Tucker Speed. This week, I am joined by the Kofford brothers, Brandon and Carson, a couple of locals, really good friends, dudes that I really enjoy hanging out with. We've raced together in the BRL. We've ridden together. We've camped together. We've had a lot of good times together, and we had some great conversations about how they got into motorcycling, how they got into racing. And it's a story that I think a lot will resonate with a lot of you. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. I enjoyed sitting down talking with these guys. But first, just remember this podcast is brought to you by tuckerspeed.com, your one-stop shop for all things performance related to your Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Before we get going, remember to leave us a 5-star review, follow the show, and I hope you enjoy this episode.
Making power by day, making friends at night. Built different, Tucker Speed. Hell yeah, brother. It's a good day.
He went swimming in Fish Lake, and there was like still ice floating around and stuff. And we rode up to there, and he's like, "I'm going swimming."
If it's colder than 80 degrees, it's too cold.
It was so cold. Like, it was snowing, and I was swimming, and there was ice on the lake. It was cold.
Silly salmon.
Dad still got a picture of it.
We rolling, Jordy? All right, let's hit it.
Okay.
So I'll give you guys just a quick informal introduction, so that because there's two of you, but the Kofford brothers, Brandon,
That's me.
that's you, Carson.
Hey,
Now everybody knows who you are.
all right.
Cool. Thanks for joining on short notice.
Oh,
We were
yeah. No problem, man.
kind of scrambling to get a guest this week, so
Well,
yeah.
it's okay if it
you were
is.
at the
Let it
very
be on
bottom of the
record.
list.
Either way, it's okay. I'm good.
Like, these dudes.
At least it made the list, so it's all good.
No, I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. You guys were kind of officially or unofficially kind of part of Tucker Speed BRL racing for a couple of years.
Yep.
We'll talk about that a little bit. See if you guys have any future plans. Oh, and I got something else to tell you about that too.
All right.
I'll leave that as a little teaser.
I like to be teased.
But I was thinking earlier, like, I always like to hear people's stories about how they get into motorcycling or just, I guess motorcycling. That's the right thing. I mean, I was going to say action sports, but that's not really relevant because that could be a lot of stuff.
Could be like roller skating or some shit.
Yeah, extreme roller skating. But I like to hear, like, how guys got to here. Because, I mean, some dudes just show up and they never touched a bike. They always thought Harleys were cool and they just buy a Harley. Because, I mean, you guys ride. You guys both have multiple Harleys.
Yep.
I mean, and I know a lot about your history because we've ridden together, raced together. I mean, but I also, I mean, there's probably a lot I don't know. I mean, you guys got stories for days. That's the one thing you guys are not short on. But I like to hear a little bit, like, how you got into riding and the trend, different types of riding, stuff like that. So let's just start there.
Well, as far as like street bikes go,
Let's go back even further than that.
We going like dirt bikes?
I mean, I want to know the first thing you ever rode.
So the first thing I ever rode that was actually mine was a Chinese 250 four-wheeler my dad bought when I was like 6, I think. Mm-hmm. And then I think his was a Trail Boss 350.
Trail Boss 250, son.
250.
250.
That was the
big
first
dog.
thing.
Yeah.
That's a Polaris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And where were you guys riding?
Mostly sand dunes.
Okay.
We started going out to the sand dunes, I think, when I was like in 7th grade, somewhere around there.
Party foul.
And had the Trail Boss 250. Our friends invited us out there. And
Is the Trail Boss the two-stroker?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the 2-stroke. It was white and turquoise.
Yeah.
And we were like super redneck, you know.
We still are.
Sorry, we still are. Our buddies invited us. We never even heard of the sand dunes or anything, and we're like, yeah, we'll bring the guns and the fishing poles and stuff, you know.
Did you bring the fishing
Oh,
pole?
yeah,
Did
we
you
rolled up with
fish?
22s and fishing poles.
Yeah, we didn't go anywhere without guns and fishing poles. So. That's just what you do, man. So we get out there, and we pulled up the Sand Mountain. And we had one 4-wheeler and like a little pop-up trailer, and we just seen Sand Mountain, and we're like, what the hell is this place? You know, this is nuts. And this was when the sand dunes were wild, you know?
Yeah. Was it a busy weekend?
Yeah.
Like
it
a
was
holiday?
Easter.
Easter
Our first
weekend.
time down there was Easter, like
Yeah, that's
old
a
school
sight
Easter.
to see. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're like, this is awesome, man. You know, they got stripper poles everywhere and just, you know, everything you can imagine as a 7th grade boy, you know, your dreams could come
Oh, it's
true.
heaven for a 7th grader.
It's pretty good.
So we got hooked after that. My dad got a Banshee after that, and I rode the Trail Boss for a couple years. I blew it up like every other time, so figured out how to do a top end pretty quick, and did like a DG pipe on it and full suspension and intake, and ended up putting a snowmobile piston in it and stuff just to try and make it faster, but it was still kind of a turd.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And then he started off. So I was in 7th grade. I think I'm 7 years older than you.
8 years.
So he started on like a little Chinese 250 4-wheeler. And then after that, I think,
There's my Lakota 400 after that.
yeah, he got a Lakota for like $50. And it had like,
Cotton and spider webs
yeah,
in
it
the
had like
cylinders.
cotton or something growing inside the cylinder. Like,
In the cylinder.
In the
Yeah.
cylinder. It had no exhaust on it. Everything was open. We just vacuumed it out, sprayed some carbon choke and everything we could, and then it kind of ran until
Yeah.
it blew it up.
we put like an eBay shock on it because the shock was blown. But it was too stiff, so we just ratchet strapped cinder blocks to the back.
I couldn't go through the whoops because I was, I think at that time I was in 6th grade. So I couldn't go through the whoops at all, and that thing would just spring you right off. Put a DG pipe on it, and then painted it all black and changed out the fenders and cut them all. Try to make it look like the Banshee.
But it still didn't, right?
No.
No, and then I got my YZ250. I still had that bike, so I wanted to start him on a bike, and he ended up getting a
XR80.
XR80 for like $100 from my buddy. It didn't run or anything, so I took it to Newgate. That's where I worked at the time. I was like a setup tech there. And so I took it there, I cleaned the carb and everything, got it running. And he started out riding on that, and it was like really slow. It was so slow, I thought the clutch was slipping, so I put new clutch in it. It was
It's
still the
same
same.
thing.
It was just slow.
But he rode the shit
What
out of
year
that.
was like around? What year was that?
That was an 8. The biker.
No, like time frame when all that was happening.
So I worked at Newgate in 2013, I
Okay.
think. Yeah, because I graduated in 13 and then started there like right after high school.
Okay.
And then after that, he sold.
Sold the XR80, bought a CR80 big wheel, rode that for about 5 years, blew it up, I think 3 times, maybe 4 times. And then, I don't know, after that, I think I had 2 different CR250s, a KX, another KX, and I think my 450 I have now, as far as dirt bikes go.
Okay.
But his CR80, so he was like 7 or 8 at the time. And this bike came into the shop and it was total clapped out. And so the kid got a new bike. And so I got a hold of the estimate and I called him. I was like, hey, you got a new bike? He's like, yeah. And I was like, well, do you want to sell your other one? He goes, yeah, sure. So I tell Carson about it. And I knew it needed a top end and stuff. But it like would still run. It had enough compression to run, but it was kind of on its way out. So I was like, Carson, you should buy this bike and we can fix it up. And so I was like, you're going to be the man. Like, I'm not going to negotiate or anything. So I like stayed back, and Carson's like 7 years old and goes up and he's talking to this dude. We meet up with him. And Carson just comes and grabs me. He's like, hey, load it up. I was like, all right. So I load it in the truck. I was like, you got the title? I go, yep. And we're driving home. I was like, so what'd you get it for? He's like, $500. I was like, the guy settled on $500. He's like, I don't know. That's just what I gave him. I was like, what the fuck?
I took a loan from my grandpa, and all he gave me was $500. So I just gave him the envelope, didn't count it, and loaded the bike up and left.
So that's how he got his 80. And we were riding at St. Anne's, and he was on it, and he kept like just wrecking all day, and because he wouldn't commit. I was like,
Yeah, I didn't know how to ride.
Yeah, he was
Well,
learning.
riding in the sand is
It's hard.
it's not easy.
It's a lot of fun though.
You can't be afraid of the
No,
throttle.
no, you just gotta be on
It's
it.
just on. Yeah,
Just
you
floored
just
up
go.
everything.
The faster you go, the
Easier it is.
So he's like 7 years old or something, and he
think I
keeps
was like
wrecking.
12 by then, yeah.
I don't know.
10
you
or
were just
12.
pissing me off though that day.
You were pissed. I was pissed.
So he kept wrecking, and then he starts throwing a temper tantrum, and I just start yelling at him. I was like, quit being a pussy and just hold it wide open. And so he gets all mad, puts his helmet back on, and then he won't stop. He's just holding it wide open everywhere.
Just got it on the
Yeah,
stop, just going.
And he went flying off this dune.
So do you know where if you're coming in from Idaho Dunes RV, they have that flagpole, and then they have that straight up wall you go up. I hit that fifth gear pinned on my CR80 and didn't lift the whole time, and launched right off that.
Yeah, so he was just in like a 12 o'clock wheelie up in the air, just holding it wide open, and then it blew up in the air.
It threw me over the bars, and I just face planted, and then he just towed my bike back. I was pissed after that.
Yeah, and then he got a CR 250 after that, and then I still have mine 250 actually.
That bike was cool. It was a 93 steel frame CR250. That was a lot better. I had a KX after that, I think, and I still like the steel frame over my KX.
I'm curious, what 90s CRs do you still have?
They're actually all gone now.
Oh, they
but
are?
he had the 93, which I think is one, wasn't it Jeremy McGrath rode for like 6 years or something? Yeah.
I want a 93 CRF, or sorry, not CRF, CR250.
Dude.
A 93.
It screamed.
And I need a 97. And if anybody's listening and knows where there's one at,
On the
I'm
record.
shopping. I need a 93 250 and a 97 125.
That'd be sweet,
That's
man.
what I
cool.
need for my collection. I'm shopping for them right now.
Hell
That'd be
yeah.
cool.
Might have to give up that
The
Banshee.
93 because it's the 93 and it's like the CR250 of the 90s.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
And the 97 125 because that was the first dirt bike I had.
Okay.
My dad bought it for me like brand new off the showroom floor.
That's
That's cool.
And my buddy had the identical bike, and that's what got me into motocross. But I want to buy one and restore it like back to like 100% factory, like
That's
the
sweet.
way it rolled off the showroom floor.
That'd
Yeah,
be
that'd
cool.
be
So I'm
sweet,
shopping
man.
for one, but it's crazy because I've been like searching for like 2 years, and I can find 95s, 96s, 98s, but I
Not a
cannot find the
93, huh?
97 125. Like the 98, it became in the aluminum frame. Like the 97 was the last year steel frame 125.
Okay. I think they went to the RCV or RC valve or something like that in like 98, didn't they? Or was that like 02?
On the aluminum frame models.
That I'm not sure. I mean, I know I thought mine, I don't know. I'm not sure on that.
Okay.
All I know is I need a 97 CR 125.
Hell yeah.
I need that thing. So if anybody's listening and knows where there's one at, hit me up because I need it.
Hell yeah, man.
But that's cool. So like so then at what point did you guys transition into like street bikes and Harleys?
So I got my motorcycle permit when I was 16. I was working at Discount Tire at the time, and I always wanted a bike. I remember seeing everybody ride the Sturges and stuff. We'd always go to Flaming Gorge, so they'd always ride by going up to there. So I always wanted a road bike. So I turned 16, and my actual first bike was a XT225.
Okay.
Little Yamaha Enduro, and I got that thing. I bought it from a shop down in Salt Lake, and the dude hooked me up, like knocked it down. I told him it was my first bike. So I picked it up. Well, actually, I lied to my mom. I told her I was working. That's why I couldn't go up to Flaming Gorge. And I told my dad I was going to buy a bike. So I borrowed his truck. I drove to Salt Lake, and I ended up buying the bike, and it had like the lights were messed up, and like it didn't have a mirror and like no horn or anything.
It didn't run good either.
It didn't run good either. It was kind of a piece of shit.
It was rough.
I loaded it up in the truck, and I wanted to get everything done in a day. So I went to Harbor Freight with it in the truck, and I wired a horn on it, like with just wires dangling everywhere, and like externally wired the lights to work, like with it in the bed of the truck. And then I took one of those stick-on mirrors, because it didn't have a mirror to pass inspection. Like, you know, those universal, like, blind spot mirrors. Mm-hmm. I got some all thread that was rolling around in the bed of the truck, and I bent it into, like, a ear, and JB welded one of those mirrors onto it and just stuck it through the perch. And then I went to the DMV, got it the pass inspection, got it registered, and then I went to the other DMV and got my permit, and then drove up to the gorge and showed my mom that I bought a bike.
Was she pissed?
Yes.
Yeah, she was pretty mad. But she just knew that I liked it, so she's like, well, whatever. And my dad was cool with it.
Yeah.
And then I had that bike throughout high school, but I wanted more power, like, pretty quick. Mm-hmm. So I got a 1981 CB900 for like $300. It was like basically a roller, and it's like an inline four. Mm-hmm. So that was my first time cleaning carbs, was that thing.
Was it 900 a 4-cylinder?
It was a 4-cylinder,
Yeah.
And it had a high and low. So it was a
Yeah,
5-speed.
the dual speed transmission.
Yeah, so I could,
Yeah.
like, if I revved it to the moon and slammed it in the low, it would just pull a wheelie. But yeah, that thing was.
There's a bunch of CB900 like enthusiasts out there just cringing right now.
Yeah, like this asshole. But I remember I took it to school as like my project, and the school only had like red wire, and it needed a bunch of wiring done.
Right.
So I just
I know
wired
where
the
this
whole
go-
thing with red wire. And I put like a little solo seat on it and stuff, and it was just clapped out, man.
The
But
gauge mount we made was pretty cool.
yeah, I cut a sprocket in half off my dirt bike, and I mounted the gauges in it. So if you went over the handlebars, you just gut yourself.
Oh, jeez.
And I welded the other half to the swing arm to mount my license plate on. It was just like a piece of junk, but it was my piece of junk, you know.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, I think we all have a lot of us have similar stories, and we've all done some shit that we're not proud of. Mm-hmm. But it's just part of our story, right?
Yeah, man.
But so from there, then where?
So after that, I got Shadow 1100 when I worked at Newgate. It came in. My buddy actually brought it in, and it needed carb work. So I cleaned the carbs on it, got it running again, got a good deal on it. And I rode that for a couple years, and then I ended up selling it to him. And my first Harley is my Red Dyna.
Okay.
And
it's at 99?
2000.
2000?
Yep, 2000 Super Glide. And I don't know, I was always on the fence, especially working at a Honda shop. Like, I always heard, like, Harleys are junk, you know, and you get on them, they rattle, and, you know.
They
I was
do.
like, I don't know. But there's something always in the back of my mind, like, yeah, that is pretty cool. And Caesar actually got a Harley, and I rode his, and I was like, okay, like, there is a difference here.
Oh, they're different. They're way different than your Honda Shadow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I got to get one of these. And I wanted to, like, ride wheelies and stuff. So that's why I wanted a Dyna. And I ended up getting that Dyna. And I think that's all the road bikes I've had that I've kept. I bought a lot of bikes to just flip or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was my first Harley. And Carson's first bike, his story is actually kind of cool.
So I got a boat from...
Wait. I got to tell him about the phone call with Grandpa.
Okay.
So my grandpa calls me one day, and he goes, hey, do you want a bass boat? I was like, what's up with it? He's like, it needs a bunch of work. I was like, well, no, not really. And he goes, well, anyways, it's at your house. I was like, well, okay. And I get home, and there's this bass boat, like, in the middle of the lane, like on the busy road that I live on. I was like, what the hell? He just left it in the middle of the road.
Just like pulled up, unhitched, and took off.
Yeah, like didn't even push it up to the curb or anything.
He's really
Cars
good
were
about
going
doing stuff
around it
like
and
that.
shit. And I was like, what am I gonna do with this thing? And so I called Carson. I was like, do you want a bike? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, you gotta come help me fix this boat then. So we ended up fixing the boat, and I'll let him continue on.
So I
from
just redecked the whole boat for him, and then ended up trading it to my buddy Adam for a V45 Magna. And at the time I was in welding school, so I thought it'd be cool to build a giant sissy bar for some reason. I think it was like 3 feet tall.
I think it was taller than him.
It was ridiculous. Put my name into it. And I had that bike for a minute and ended up riding that to Sturgis for my first time
When he was 16.
When I was 16.
Got his first tattoo and got a picture with a stripper's booty hole.
A couple of them. But so yeah, I rode that bike for probably 3 years, I think 2 or 3 years. And then he ended up selling me his Shadow that was his first road bike. And then I had that for a couple of years. Actually, I just sold it, I think, a year and a half ago. But when I owned that, I bought my Dyna when I got out of high school. So that was 2021 is when I bought my Dyna.
That's when you graduated?
Yeah, it was 2020.
Yeah, he's a youngin'.
I'm old. I'm so old.
So that was a couple years ago. But a couple months after I bought the Dyna is when I got my race bike, my Sporty. And that's all I have right now is just my Dyna and then my Sporty. And then I have another Sporty now, too. So only 2 of the bikes run right now.
Yeah. That's
Like
how
a
it
Harley.
goes. Yeah. Yeah. That's why you got to have 3 Harleys.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
keep one running all the time.
Exactly, man. You just steal parts from the other and just try to keep one on the road.
Don't you think it's funny how, like, you were working in a Honda dealership and there's people that, like, just absolutely hate on Harleys because they break down, they leak oil, they vibrate, they wobble. Like, I mean, they do everything wrong, right? Yeah. But there's just still this, like, coolness factor, this draw to them that some people have and some people don't. I just find it fascinating that some, like, you either just are drawn to them or you're not. And it's so weird. There's like no in between.
No, there's not. The thing that I appreciate about a Harley is that no matter how old it is, you can build it. You can rebuild it. You know, if
Do
have a
whatever you want
JD,
to it.
You have a pan head. Like somebody's gonna have something that you're gonna need. A knucklehead. You know, doesn't matter. Like nobody's gonna want like a '97 Honda Shadow in 100 years.
No.
Or
you know?
Yamaha Virago.
And they're not gonna be able to find anything for them. You know.
What do you have like a specific memory or like something that you remember happening that like drew you to the Harley brand?
Actually, I was thinking about this today. I remember a club rode through Fort Bridger, Wyoming, and they stopped. I don't know if they were going
Like
to
an
Sturgis.
MC, like MC Club?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember seeing all their bikes, and this one dude had a fucking I don't know if I'm
alligator
supposed to
dude?
swear. Yeah, this dude had an alligator, like a little baby alligator.
Like live?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it rode across his saddlebags.
What the fuck?
He was like he was walking around with this alligator on a leash, man. And I was like, what are these dudes up to? This dude has a pet alligator. And they just had cool ass bikes and they all rode together and everything. I was like, that's pretty sick. I was probably like 10 years old.
Really? And you think that like triggered something in your brain maybe?
As far as Harleys, I think so, yeah. But actually, one of my earliest memories that I have, my dad had a bike. It was like a Goldwing 1000 that was given to him or something, like the first Goldwing. And the only time he rode it, he took me on it. And I think I was like 4 years old or something. We like rode it up 84. And that's one of my earliest memories.
Of just riding in general?
Yeah. Yeah, and so...
What's the saying? Like there's this saying, like you meet the nicest people on a Honda. You ain't never meeting nobody with an alligator on a Honda. That doesn't happen.
Sorry, folks.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's just different, man. I just everybody I talk to, I just find it fascinating that you either just you love the brand, and I'm not sitting here as like some sort of ambassador or I mean, I ain't getting paid by Harley. I mean, I'd like to. I'm sitting here
Send over the money.
yeah, pay up. But I just think, I mean, and the thing is I'm sitting here as a person who loves the brand for whatever reason, and I don't even know what that means. I don't know if it, because I don't always agree with like Harley corporate.
Yeah. Yeah,
But there's
I
just
think it's
something about
beyond-
the culture. I think it's the culture that fascinates me and that I'm drawn to.
Same. The heritage and the history. And
I love the history. I'm like a history buff, like whatever. I mean, even non-motorcycle stuff, just American history, like the wars and everything. And there's just not another brand that has it.
no, not another one that's gone through everything that they have and still kept it together.
Right. I mean, Indian likes to think they do.
You mean
they
Polaris?
don't. Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so I just think I just find it fascinating that some people just never really get bit by that bug and some people do.
It was honestly weird that I did, I think, because I remember when I got my Dyna, I got it because I knew it was a good deal. I was like, oh, I could flip this thing, and I got on it, and I was like,
Your Shadow?
no, my Dyna.
Oh, your Dyna. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it was all stock. That's why I named it Old Man Jenkins. Because it had like tassels on it and rust.
Didn't
And
it have beach bars?
yeah, it had like some stupid ass
Some
bars
beach
like
bars.
this. And I was like, this thing kind of sucks. But I just kept seeing everybody on Instagram like doing whatever they did to them. So I was like, okay, I just gotta start fixing it up. I did suspension and all the cool guy shit on it. It still kind of clapped, but I don't know. You guys just made it pretty fast, actually. So it's been fun. But yeah, it took me a minute to like lean into it, I guess. I still had other bikes. And so I almost had to throw some parts at it before I fully appreciated it. But I think that's the cool thing about them is that you can customize them to whatever you want.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a whole industry and culture surrounding the brand that there isn't for any other brand.
Yeah.
There's not another, say, let's just take Honda, for example. There isn't an entire industry and brand and culture surrounding it like there is
No.
with HD.
Not even close, man.
I mean, and so, yeah, you can jump online or open a catalog and the parts you can buy are unlimited. And I want to say they're easy to work on. I think they're easy, but that I might be biased because I do it every day, but I don't know. There's just something about it. I mean, for me, when I was in junior high, like in the, early 90s, I was riding sand dunes. I was riding Banshees. I was riding dirt bikes, riding nothing but Japanese branded stuff. But I had a Harley t-shirt. I don't know why.
That's cool.
I mean,
It's required.
yeah, like as early as, like 12 years old, I had this fascination with HD, and I didn't even know anybody that owned a Harley.
No shit.
I was just in love with the brand early. Like I saw a t-shirt and I was just like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I got to have the t-shirt.
Hell yeah.
At 12.
That's cool.
And it's like, and it stuck. Here I am, 30 years later.
Yep, hearing it deep now, man.
I got like 6 Harleys that don't run.
Every man's dream.
It's the best way to be, though.
So you both have Dynas.
Yep.
You just have a Dyna, right, Carson?
Yeah, I just got a Dyna and 2 Sporties.
2 Sporties, and you got a Dyna.
So currently,
I'll let you tell the story.
I have a 2000 Dyna, an 06 Road King, 01 Sporty, 05 Sporty, and a 06 Dyna.
I don't know if I've ever seen your 06 Dyna. I didn't know you had that.
That's because I just bought it this last year.
Oh.
And it's total like 8 hangers and stuff like that.
Does it run?
It runs.
Just haven't. really ridden it?
No, I just bought it to flip or do something with. I kind of want to make a swing arm chopper with it.
Oh, yeah.
If I do keep it, like go 6-inch up on the frame or something. Mm-hmm. But I have too many irons in the fire, so I don't know. It's just kind of sitting there right now.
Yeah.
I know 06s aren't like the best, but I got a good deal on it.
Yeah. The '06 is, I mean, it's not that it's bad. It's just an in-between year. Mm-hmm. It's like a half breed.
Yeah,
you know
half
what
breed.
I mean? It's
I
got
think something's up with the primary or something.
Really?
But other than that, it runs.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I talk to a lot of dudes, and they're like, "Oh, stay away from the '06." It's like it's not that the '06 is bad. It's you just have to know what you're getting. Mm-hmm. You're kind of getting a 1 year only
Yeah.
bike.
It's a one of kind.
Which
for sale.
Honestly, if you think about it, like if you fast forward 100 years, those 1 year bikes, like if you go 100 years back in time, those 100-year bikes now are the most
Worth a ton.
They're worth the most money. So it's kind of cool. It's like if you were,
True.
If you were smart, you'd buy every '06 Dyna you could and just sit on them for 100 years.
Send it my way. Gonna make my grandkids rich.
Yeah. No, but that's cool. So let's jump into racing.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Like, what's first?
Like, I guess we could say how he got into it or why.
Sure.
So they had that exhibition race. Do you remember that? I think it was at Laguna Seca.
We're talking the bagger racing
Yeah,
league?
King of Baggers.
Yeah.
Or
It was like
bagger.
early, I don't know what it was yet.
It was 2020.
Yeah. So I don't think either series had been quite established yet.
No.
I can't remember. But
There wasn't a series at the time.
yeah.
It was basically, an idea that somebody had. Mm-hmm. And I know the person who had the idea, know him pretty well, that went to Moto America and said, hey, I want to put some Harley baggers on the track. And it was kind of like, okay, we'll let you have your 15 minutes of fame.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did it. And it was an invitational at that point. It was basically, they let 8 or 10 big brands build a bike and
Go out
come
there.
out and race. And then all of a sudden there was fans like climbing the fences watching them.
Hell yeah.
And then it kind of took off from there. But that was 2020. So go ahead with your story.
So I remember watching that race, and I was like, man, this is sick, Like, how cool would it be to do that? And I just thought it was awesome. And so I just started looking for a bike. I was like, I don't know what I got to do or whatever, and then they announced BRL. And I don't even know if they had the classes announced yet.
Not yet.
But they announced that BRL was going to come to Utah for their first thing. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know anything. So I was like, I got to get a bike because I don't want to wreck my Dyna because I take that on road trips and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I got to get a bike. So I ended up buying my 2005, I think is what it is, Sportster. And I bought it super clapped out, like super clapped out. The
bad.
brakes didn't work or anything, but I got it really cheap. I called Carson. I go, hey, I'm going to go buy a bike, and you and me are going to race. He's like, race what? I was like, BRL, man. I don't know what it is. Don't know when they're coming. Like, I don't know anything, but I know we need some bikes. So told him he's just going to buy a bike.
You were like
Yeah, it was
18 years old,
Yeah,
like a
I was-
senior in high school at the time, or just graduated?
I had just barely gotten out of high school. So
Yeah,
this
just
was
graduated, I think.
the summer that I just got out of high school. And so he calls me and he's like, we're going to race the BRL. You got to go buy a bike. And at the time, I just barely started making like some decent money. First real job. I was a janitor all through high school. So it was my first real job. So I'm like, yeah, I can buy a bike. Just bought the Dyna.
I'm rich now.
Yeah, like $200.
Finally got money, bought a Dyna. And then a couple months later, I'm like, I'm going to buy a Sporty now.
Uh-huh.
And so he calls me. He's like, you got to go buy a bike. Finds me a bike. We go pick it up. This was on Valentine's Day, the day I bought it. And it was completely totaled. The front end, like the front wheel tucked the frame. And that's the bike that I bought. And the best part about that, we loaded up into the bike and the dude's going on and on about how it's a good bike. It's a clean bike. He just wants someone to take care of it. It's gonna be good. And we're in Brandon's little Dodge Dakota. It's like an 80s Dodge Dakota.
That little minty truck.
Yeah. And it doesn't fit in the truck bed. So he's just slammed the tailgate into the fender to get it to close.
Yeah, just smashed the tailgate in the fender.
That dude was so mad when I did that. He was pissed.
So he got that bike. And then when I got mine, I came back and I got it from this like apartment complex. And this dude was selling it. And he had 2 baby mamas living in the same apartment complex. And as soon as I gave him the money, both the baby mamas took the money from him. And then they tried to sell me his only car. And he's like, how am I supposed to get to work? So that was like a whole interesting experience. But so I think they hadn't quite announced the rules yet, or as soon as they announced the rules.
That's when we bought the bikes, as soon as they announced the classes and the rules and what you had to do to get your license.
Yeah, I think they required like 2 or 3 track days before you got your license. So we just did what we could or thought we knew we needed to do to the bikes. And I think within like 2 weeks, we went to Buttonwillow for our first track day. Went out there, we got stuck in a snowstorm, so we drove like, 15 hours?
Yeah, 16 hours. And so in the same week, I'd bought my Sporty, and then I went and bought a 2018 Ford E350 Econoline van. And that's what we were going to drive to California. It was terrible. The van was junk, but it was fun. Had it for 2 years, I think.
Yeah, the moto van. It was cool. So we rode out there. I ended up hitting up the track days dude. I think his name is Dustin. And so I just emailed him like, hey, like, can we even come out there? I'm like, is this allowed? He's like, yeah, come on out. So we went out there and we bought all new gear and everything. And I didn't see if any of mine fit before we got there. And so my feet are too big to fit in my race boots that I bought at the time. And my back brace wouldn't fit either. And so we get there and I'm like, shit, I need to have a back brace and race boots and my stuff doesn't fit. And I figured this out like 10 minutes before my track
going
time.
on a track?
Yeah. And so I go running over and I was like, hey, can I wear my cowboy boots? And they're like, it's a boot, right? I was like, hell yeah. So I ended up duct taping my back brace into my race suit and wearing my cowboy boots the first time out on the track. So I got some sick pictures.
Yeah, we still got it hanging up in our room where we got all of our race suits and everything. There's a picture right in the middle of Brandon's cowboy boots on the track.
Nice.
Just duct taped on.
Which turns out those are better because I can't tuck in my foot. And they last a little bit longer than race boots for me. But when we were out there, we didn't know any etiquette or anything. So we're like the last ones there. We get there, an hour before like we were supposed to start. So we just kind of parked out in the dirt. And like I remember we were just pissing everybody off because there was this dirt like jump next to where we parked the van out in the dirt where nobody else was parked. And so we kept coming off the track and the tires are hot. And so we'd go through the dirt and like get rocks all over our tires and go hit that jump. And then like we didn't have tire warmers or anything, so we just leaned them up against the van. And when we got on the track, we'd just shoot gravel everywhere. And people were like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Fucking redneck in cowboy boots flipping rocks at me.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But that was a blast, man. We got hooked after that. I don't know how many times we went to Chuck Wall after that.
It was like every other weekend we'd work our 40 hour. We were working 410s at the time. So we'd work our work weeks. I'd go and pick him up or him and my dad down in Salt Lake. Had the van already loaded. We'd bomb all the way to California in the night, sleep at the track, race for 2 days, and then drive back. Either drive all the way or sleep in Vegas at the Love's truck stop. And I met this homeless dude named Stary Gary.
Well, we named him Stary Gary.
We named him Stary Gary. Because for the 3 trips that we went, for 3 of those anyways, he was in the same parking lot in the same tent. And I built the van.
Oh, he wasn't a trucker?
No, he was in the tent.
he's just a homeless
dude
guy.
living at the
Yeah.
truck stop.
And so I built the bed. So we set up my dad in the back on the cot. Brandon and got the bed. And then I built a little wood platform because I'm the only one short enough to fit between the doors and the front seats. So I built a little platform, and I would wake up and stare at Gary. He'd be just looking at me through the window.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How long you been there, bro?
So
Long enough, Carson. Long enough.
you know me, Gary.
So then you guys raced the very first BRL then with us.
Yep.
Yep, we got our race license in Chuckwalla, so we did a mock race out there. I think we did like another race out there. I can't remember though. And then we started racing the USBA series. Mm-hmm. We did 1 or 2 rounds, and I actually ended up high-siding. That's why I have this scar on my arm. And
It was a pretty gnarly high side, huh?
yeah. That
I mean, not that high sides are never not gnarly.
yeah, they
But,
hurt, man.
yeah.
They're not fun.
Low side's one thing. High side,
That hurts.
All sides hurt worse.
That's what works.
So I high-sided like a month before the first BRL,
Yep.
and so that kind of dinged me up for a minute. I got off crutches like 2 or 3 days before that race, and I still couldn't move my leg all the way. But I was like, I'm not missing this. I put all this work into it and everything, you know. But I don't know. That first BRL, that was fun, man.
it was a
a lot
fun
of fun.
weekend.
Yeah,
It was wild. It was cool to have. I mean, I think for us, the 3 of us, it was cool to have it in our like backyard.
yeah. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna miss this.
Like, how do you get to go race a Harley on a track no one's raced a Harley on before in your own
Right.
backyard?
Right. And that's kind of how I felt. It was
Yeah.
the same thing for me.
Like, I would have felt like a chump if I didn't do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I think I'm fast, you know, or I did until I started racing. Then I found out real quick that I'm not.
It's tough, man.
There's
It's
a lot of faster people.
It's a fast evolving sport too.
Yeah.
You know, so it was fun to be there at the first one. But to see where it's at today too is
Yeah, see the
gnarly.
pretty
progression
crazy.
between everybody.
You know, 3 years later, 4 years later now.
Well, I remember everybody's lap times, even that race, like
dropped.
in practice. Like every practice, every rider was dropping like, I don't know, at least 5-6 seconds off of each time. You know, like everything's just going faster and faster, 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 just pushing it, man. I think it was awesome.
I mean, for me at that BRL round, that first one was my first time on a road course on like a track, you know, built bike. I had gone and got my license, and I did that on my street legal Road King at Willow Springs. And I got through the class and got my license and everything, but I was still on a street legal bike. Showed up to BRL round 1 on a track prepped bike. And so I was one of those guys that every time I hit the track, I got 5 seconds faster.
Hell yeah.
And then the next year at that same race, I was 10 seconds faster than my fastest lap the year before. You know, it's like, but
pretty
that
cool,
was,
man.
and I still wasn't even fast. You know, that's just how the progression went in the sport.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
But so do you guys, your last race was what, Milwaukee?
Yeah,
Last
Milwaukee.
year or 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, it's
Year and a
sneaking
half
up on
ago.
2 years.
Yeah. Do you guys have any plans of trying to race again?
Maybe. I think if I was going the race again, I would want to probably go up to baggers if I was going to do BRL. I would have to hit the track pretty seriously and train to race Moto America if I wanted to do anything like that.
I think Moto America, the same thing. The progression has gone crazy,
Yeah.
and I don't.
And I don't think, I know I'm not there for sure.
I'm
you
not
know?
there for Moto America.
I don't know if I could get there easier or either, you know, unless I like quit my job and just only
It'd
race
be
or
a full
something.
commitment, bro. It'd be
Yeah.
a big commitment, and I
So-
don't even know that I'm sitting here saying, I got a couple BRL Pro Stock Bagger trophies sitting behind me, and I don't think I could even hang in Moto America.
Yeah.
I mean, Moto America has their 110% rule,
Those
where
guys,
you don't even get to
mad
grid
respect,
if
man.
you're not within 110% of the fastest qualifying lap. And I almost guarantee I'm not there.
Oh, yeah. I know I'm not. it would
Because you're talking
take a
Kyle
long time.
Wyman, Tyler O'Hara lap
Yeah.
times.
Travis Wyman.
Yeah, I'm just Brandon.
Yes.
But it is cool. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard that they actually invited the King of the Baggers guys from Moto America to race with the MotoGP guys in Austin.
Really?
When MotoGP comes to Austin in April,
That's cool.
they didn't invite Moto America Superbike, but they invited Moto America King of the Baggers guys,
That's cool.
which is going to put bagger racing kind of on the world stage, which it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that'll be sweet, man.
But another thing, I don't know if you guys probably saw or heard that the BRL is adding a third bagger class.
Yeah, I seen that.
The street. I don't know I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically a kind of a street legal bagger
Okay.
class. Where like if you're a dude who has like a nicely built bagger and wants to go race, like you could go race it and be competitive in that class. So I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even the pro stock class that I run in,
Everybody's
at this
getting pretty
point,
built.
you got to have a pretty built bike to
Yeah.
be competitive in,
I
which is
agree.
hard for a guy to do. And it's also taking a bike and like you're fully committing it to a track only bike.
Yep.
Like it's gonna be a pain to switch it back to go ride it on the
Yeah,
street.
it's a lot of work and a lot of money, which a lot of guys don't have.
Nope. No, and that's another thing. Like racing, and our bikes are nothing crazy, but that took everything we have. Like it doesn't matter what you make. If you're gonna race, it's gonna take all of it.
All
Everything
of it
you got.
and more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll give it everything you got, and you'll still need more.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
still
that
gonna
next
want more,
guy's
man.
got a little
Just
more than
racing,
you.
right? That's just how it goes.
Tires and blowing it up. I've blown my bike up twice, I think. Mm-hmm. That adds up. But
So the one thing I was talking about earlier that I had found out this last week is that USBA, it has made and added an American, I don't know what they're calling it, but it's basically an American V-twin class as part of the USBA circuit this year.
That'd be cool.
I didn't know that.
Open to baggers, softails, sporties, whatever it is, but any sort of American air-cooled V-twin motor.
It'd be cool, man.
So they actually have a dedicated class for those guys.
Yeah,
I
do
talked to
something-
Ian from Trackstar, and he informed me about it,
Okay.
which is cool because you could race their entire series,
Yeah.
and it's an hour away from us.
That's
Wow.
something I would be wanting to do because I did a lot of the USBA series when I was racing. I did most of the races in that series, and it was a lot of fun. That's one I would like to get
But
back
they were
into.
just throwing you
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
some
they
sort of
just,
other
like,
V-twin
they go
class with
wherever.
like SV1000s and Ducatis and whatever other
wherever they could fit
V-twins
us.
that are
yeah.
out there.
I raced like one super bike race because they didn't have enough people for the V twin class or the parallel twin class, what they call it. And yeah, I got my ass handed to me.
Well, I mean, you're just never. I mean, the facts are you're never going to be competitive
No.
against those bikes on any Harley.
Yeah.
So it's cool that they have their own class. It'll be interesting to see what kind of turnout they get, and if they keep the class going forward after this year.
Yeah, because I think they have to have at least 6 people committed to do it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who would be doing it, but
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, and maybe they will draw some guys from around the surrounding states.
I mean Arnie's close.
Arnie for sure. But the problem with Arnie right now is Arnie doesn't have his own bike.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Arnie
on
actually has an
Suburbans.
R6 that he's going to plan on racing to kind of train
Okay.
for BRL. But he doesn't have his own because
Bagger.
he's riding for Suburban.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have his own Harley to kind of bring and race here. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what kind of turnout they're going to get. It'll be interesting to see.
I would almost like to go back out there again. I'm always torn because I feel like when I'm racing, I can't do my other hobbies. Like you can't be half in, half out. It's either one or the
It
other.
pretty much is a full commitment.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at too. I spent a lot of money in the last 3 years on racing, and I'm looking at it this year with a bum leg and not sure what to do.
Ride dirt bikes.
I don't even know if I can do that, bro.
You can ride on
I
the
can
back
barely
with me,
walk
man.
right now.
What are you talking about?
We can get you a trike. That'd be pretty cool.
No, I enjoyed the times we had together at BRLs, you know, here in Salt Lake, Sonoma, Milwaukee.
It's a lot of fun, man.
Oh yeah.
Some good times.
Hell yeah.
You know, and pitting with you guys and hanging with you guys at the races was, you know, some really good times for me and I think my crew.
Oh, we
Those are
had a
always
blast
fun.
every time, man.
Yeah.
Even
Such
if
a
I
good
did
time.
grenade my motor, I was still having fun, man.
What race was that? That was
Sonoma.
Sonoma, huh?
Yeah, I blew it up in qualifying. I remember my bike just kept getting slower. And I already had a super good time for qualifying. I can't remember what I qualified in, but I was feeling really confident with it. But I'm just having so much fun on that track. I wanted to keep going. And my bike kept getting slower and slower and slower. And I thought my brakes were hanging up. So I was actually reaching down with my foot and pulling up on my brake lever, thinking it was sticking. And then the motor started knocking, and then I knew it was over. And I
Doesn't
was
matter
like,
how hard you pull on that brake pedal at that point. It's done. That top end is gone.
so I just kept having fun. I just rode it until it literally stopped on that uphill.
Yeah. I remember you guys were scrambling to get that motor swapped. You didn't you like buy a bottom end from somebody or something?
So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I started calling around and asking around, and I actually ended up buying a bottom end from Greg, and Dylan actually bought the top end from Greg and was building his motor. I think he blew it up in qualifying too. So Dylan robbed the top end, then I bought the bottom end from Greg, and I was like, well, my top end might work on this bottom end because my bottom end was definitely toast. So we ripped the engine out of mine and then put the cylinders on and everything. And I think we almost had it bolted in before the race, but I decided to call it.
Just ran out of time.
Yeah, ran out of time. I mean, I didn't even change out of my race suit, I don't think. I was at least still in my undergarments, just going as fast as I could, trying to make it. You know, I didn't know anything about that motor, but I was going to try and make it go.
Yeah.
But
Good times, though. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you didn't make it would have been cool to see you at least line up and race, but
that track was
you
a lot
gave
of
it
fun.
hell.
That was a lot of fun. That track was a lot of fun. I think that was one of my favorite tracks so far. Just that uphill going to that right-hand turn.
Yeah.
You're just looking vertical, going up, and then you just got to throw it to the right. That was one of my favorites so far, for sure.
I like the carousel of that. But going up the hill was a trip. Like, I felt like you were going to launch off of it.
It's tricky because I mean it's blind, right?
Yeah.
You get to the top of the hill and it's a 90-degree right-hand corner.
Yeah, you got to be set up for the corner, like while you're going up the hill.
Yeah.
If not,
And you can't, set up for something that you can't see yet.
yeah, it was trippy, man.
But yeah, I agree. I thought it was a fun track. I mean, that weekend didn't end well for me either. I blew the transmission up on first practice session of the morning.
Yeah. I
And we
remember that.
scrambled and replaced the transmission. And then I lined up on the grid and then ended up in the grass.
Clibbins. That's for Jordan.
Yeah. But still, I've always wanted to go back to that track and kind of
be
like some
sweet.
redemption,
Hell yeah, man.
I don't want to go back there in December again.
No.
Or whatever month
That
it
was so
was.
cold.
It was cold as shit.
so cold.
And we were the ones in the tents.
You guys were in the tent, yeah. I was in my trailer. These cocksuckers were in a hotel.
Yeah. Fucking Bojay.
Yeah, the van's not insulated. That was
But,
it was cold.
It was still a fun weekend though, and I still want to go back and ride that track again.
Have you rode Chuckwalla yet?
Yeah, that's where. So me and Jordan actually drove down, and I took my Road King,
You did that promo,
and
didn't
we
you?
did like the
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
what'd they call that, like V Twin Track Day or something.
Yeah, the first track day or something.
Yeah. And we weren't gonna go. We were just like, oh, that's stupid. We're not gonna go. And then we started seeing like all these other shops and other brands. We're like, we're going. We're like, screw it. Let's go. Let's go check this out and see what it's all about. Didn't really know what it was gonna be. But then when we got there, I rode the track and I actually took my tracker, my Sporty, and just put some street tires on it and rode it as well. And then that's where they announced BRL was
Oh,
the
hell
thing, like BRL Bagger Racing League is a thing. We're going to have a series this year, and our first race is this year in Salt Lake City. And we were just like hauling ass home on KSL, like shopping for bikes to build. You know, like we're doing it. So yeah, we rode Chuckwalla. I just did it on my street bike, but I have rode it.
I think I'd probably say Chuckwalla is my favorite track that I
Really?
rode. Yeah. I mean, the first time we went out there, like, just amount of like open arms, I would say, with all the Chuckwalla boys out there.
Yeah.
Was way cool because like me and him, we don't know anybody or anything, you know. Like, and we got there and we parked away from everybody, and so they came over and talked to us and were like, "Hey, you guys come stay with us, and you know we'll all stick together."
Yeah.
And they gave us pointers, and it was just awesome. You know, I feel like it's not the same like with all the sport bike dudes. You know,
Yeah,
they're
they're a
all
lot
kind
more.
of
It's
Judgmental.
more competitive too.
Yeah.
yeah. But all the Harley dudes, they were just there
The
party
Harley
and
dudes were
have a
just
good
like,
time.
hell yeah, more Harleys. Like let's have a good time.
So it was
I
super
feel like
cool.
it's changed a little bit now.
yeah, getting a little more competitive.
It's getting more competitive now. But there's a really solid group of guys in Southern California that race that series at
Oh, yeah.
Chuckwalla that are really good dudes.
Yeah, they're all solid, man.
And they will, you know, welcome you into their camp, give you pointers, you know, high five you if you beat them, you know, and that's still cool to see that type of stuff still happens.
Hell yeah.
Even though, you know, some of the leagues in the series have progressed and become more competitive, those dudes are still out there just having fun.
Yeah, man, it's
You
pretty
know?
cool.
And I know a lot of those dudes and call some of those dudes friends now, and it's cool to see.
I thought it was way cool because, like, I remember Tony Shreds was like the first one or one of the first ones. You know,
Yeah.
Tony Shreds, Eric Stahl,
Yeah.
those dudes, and they were both there. Me and Carson were all
That's so
nervous to go
cool.
talk to him, like, oh, like we don't know anybody or anything, you know. And they're
Excuse me,
just
Mr.
like,
Shreds?
Yeah, pretty much.
you shred the gnar. But he was like, yeah, dude. He was just like smoking a joint or something and
Yeah.
just total chill.
Yeah.
So that was way cool. I was like, all right, like we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Same thing for me. I mean, I had similar experience. They were both, Tony and Eric were both at that V-Twin track day at Chuckwalla when I went. And they were both super cool about, you know, everybody that was there.
Yeah, pretty cool,
And-
man.
You know, Tony continued to race in BRL for a year or two. And Eric has kind of graduated and started racing into Moto America.
Yep.
I'm not sure what he's doing this year, if he's racing Moto America or not. But
I'm not sure.
I mean,
know-
props to him for chasing that top tier.
yeah,
You know
it's
what I mean?
expensive.
And I don't know
I
how he
can't
does it,
imagine
man.
that.
I mean, because the thing with Eric is, you know, he's kind of his story. I don't want to say story, but I mean, he runs a shop. He's a dyno tuner. You know, so he's kind of doing the same thing I am, and he's kind of self-funding his race organization. You know, and I don't know what he has for sponsors, but I know it ain't cheap doing what he's doing.
No. Yep.
So hats off to him for chasing it at the top level. And, you know, just because he hasn't had a podium doesn't mean that he hasn't been successful at what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Yep.
So hats
It
off
takes
to
a lot
him.
of commitment
I mean,
to
it's a big
even get
commitment and a ton of money.
Yeah.
So
Any guys that are going for the Moto
just
America
going
stuff,
for it and chasing their dreams. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, props to those
Pretty
dudes.
awesome.
Yeah.
like you know Charles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Charles is one of my
He's
favorites.
he's
Cool.
a good dude too. And he's been racing the Super Hooligan series,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, he's cool, man. I like
He's-
Charles a lot.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So good times. But you know, I hope to see you guys maybe back out on the track at some point.
It'd be
You
cool.
know.
It'd be fun for sure.
But I totally get it. I mean, I couldn't do it if I didn't have a shop that kind of could front the bill.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for you guys that, you know, you're working your normal 40-hour weeks and trying to pay the mortgage and the utilities and then fund a race effort at the same time.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off to you guys for doing even what you were doing. I mean, not a lot of people could or would do it.
Yeah, it was
Some guys might call
quite a
you dumb.
commitment, man.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
No, they did.
They did a lot.
and I would, you know, on the flip side, I would say, hell yeah, I'm stoked that you did it. You know what I mean? And I think I have respect for you guys because you did it.
It was fun, man. You know, and I refinanced my house so that I could keep doing it. And my bike's nothing crazy, you know,
Right.
just a sporty. But I mean, we still have the bikes, and I'd like to go out and do some track days. I think like I'm nowhere near what I was. I don't think I've been off the track for over a year now, you know, almost 2. So I think for me to even do a race, I'd have to probably do, I don't know, 6 or 8 track days before I even felt comfortable.
That was always the hard part for me. And I never have still to this day ever done a track day or a practice day. I
just balls out.
I just show up and race.
Hell
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
That's almost a better way to do it, though.
I don't know. I mean,
you just got to go out and do it. Can't psych yourself
sometimes
out.
I think that I'm stupid because I commit all this time and all this money to it, and I'm like, and I just show up and wing it. Like, what? How stupid am I? Like, not even coming in like halfway prepared here. You know, like showing up for a test, but I never studied, type thing.
Hey,
you just gotta
but
send
you're
it,
doing
you know?
it.
I'm doing it. I mean, and I've had some good weekends and I've had some bad weekends, but that's racing.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is,
So.
man.
But racing is just one of those things. And I know you guys have raced a few other disciplines, you know, motocross, snowmobile,
Watercross.
Yeah, watercross.
water
is the
crossing
best.
stuff, like some real hillbilly shit.
Yeah.
But you know, racing is just one of those things that I don't know. For me, and I'm sure it's for you guys, same for you guys, is it just, you know, scratches an itch that nothing else can do.
Yep.
I'm curious on kind of changing subjects here. Where are you guys planning on traveling or riding to this year?
I'm gonna travel to the bathroom real quick. I'll let Carson handle this.
All right. Hope everything comes out all right.
I hope so too.
You guys have any plans, Carson?
Yeah, so we're going to come out to the camp out you guys are having.
Yeah.
That's in June.
June 1st, I think the
June
date
1st.
is. Yeah.
So we're going to do that
And
one
that's
for
going to
sure.
be fun. You guys were there
Oh,
last
yeah.
year.
Last year was a riot. If you made it through the mud, props to you. Because, I mean, I don't think I've ever ridden my Dyna down. I don't want to say that was the funnest road I've ever been on the Dyna, but definitely the funnest in that way. Because we probably shouldn't have been there, but it was a lot of fun.
It's one of those things for me. It wasn't fun at the time,
But it's fun afterwards.
but now I'm just like, hell yeah. That was
was-
such a good time.
I think I was having fun doing it, though, just because I felt like I was on my dirt bike. But
Yeah.
that's also not maybe what you do with the Dyna, but I don't know. It worked. So we'll be at that camp out, and then we're doing Born Free this year. So I just got my tickets for that.
That's mid-June, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Mid-June. So I think it goes the camp out, and then we'll be there. And then as far as road trips after that, we had kind of talked about maybe going to Tennessee, but we're not too sold on that yet.
Just for fun, or
Yeah.
like during a rally or a weekend?
Just
like
for
something
fun.
just going out there for fun.
Yeah, because we've done a lot of the states this way. The furthest we've been is Oregon so far. We did that last year. Went to Mexico, rode all the way up the coast in Oregon. But we haven't been to that side of the country yet.
Sure.
So that was a big goal.
I mean, I know they have, like in Tennessee, they have like the Tennessee Motorcycle Revival,
Yeah,
and then they have the Smoky Mountain Tour.
that one would be cool.
If you wanted to go like during an event or a rally.
Rallies usually
If-
make it better. So
If not, like, I don't think that there's a shortage of riding to be done if you just went on a random weekend either.
yeah, because you guys did the Tail of the Dragon a couple years ago.
I've done it twice. I did it in, trying to think of what year. I think it was 2019 and 2020. We went out. I went both years for the Smoky Mountain Tour
Okay.
and got the chance to ride the Tail of the Dragon and the surrounding area twice now. And I would say it's worth it.
Really?
But I'd also say, like, the Tail of the Dragon, in my opinion, it's cool, but it's not a road I would want to ride, like, every weekend.
I hear there's a lot of slow people on there.
Well, the fact is there's a ton of people. It's kind of the same as, like, Sturgis. Like, if you want to legit ride the Black Hills,
Don't go during.
You gotta
Sturgis.
don't
on
go
an
during
off weekend.
Sturgis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be doing 25 miles an hour everywhere you go because there's, you know, 500,000 people everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, and it's kind of, but the problem with the Tail of the Dragon is it's kind of that way every Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
Just because it's super famous.
You know, whether it's bikes or some car group that's up there, whatever, there's always people up there. It's cool to do. Don't get me wrong. Go do it. Definitely go see it. Go check it out. But a lot of the roads around the area where you get away from the traffic, and the roads are a little more not as tight. Because the thing about the Dragon is, even if you went solo, it's a pretty slow road.
Just
Because
super
it's
tight.
so tight. I mean, there's not a straightaway in there.
Okay.
You're turning left or right pretty much constantly.
Isn't it like 30 miles or something like that?
I don't remember. It's like some crazy stat, like 60 turns in 10 miles or something like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm a snake.
yeah. But don't get me wrong. Like you start into the one end and you dump out into Deals Gap, and there's like a bar and grill, and I mean, it would on the weekends we were there. It looked like there was a rally happening, and it was just people riding through there and cars driving through there.
Just a normal
There's just
weekend.
that many people there. Go do it for sure. If you haven't done it, go do it.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome to hit that, man.
But it's like if I lived there,
You wouldn't do it every
it
weekend.
wouldn't be the road I went and rode every Friday night.
Okay.
I would. There's other roads and stuff around that are just as cool and scenic, and not as many people.
Yeah, I've never even really been anywhere like back east besides, Sturgis, and then I flew to Florida, but that's about it. And I flew to Milwaukee. They drove, but I haven't really seen much of the states like east of South Dakota.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to go out
In
there.
Florida, I mean, there's not like as far as riding goes. I mean, everything out there is flat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we just got drunk and went to a shitty strip club.
We did find out about Natter Days, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Natter
Natter
Days.
Days.
So you guys are going to do the camp out. You're doing Born Free this year. You're riding to Born Free.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the plan. We've never been to Born Free, so I'm looking forward to that. We bought tickets, and then they shut it down for the COVID. And then I bought tickets again, and then we had a BRL race. So I'm hoping third time's the charm. So
June's
looking
always a
forward to
busy
that.
month, man. There's always so much stuff happening in June. But I'm excited to see you guys at camp out again.
Oh yeah,
that'll
the
be
camp
fun.
out. Man, you guys need to come to the camp out. Everybody that missed out last year, I don't know
gotta
if it'll
come
ever
this
be
time.
that good again.
Yeah.
But it was a
I
damn good
hope.
time.
I mean, I shouldn't say I hope, because that sounds like I'm not like optimistic. But last year was so epic,
It was.
Yep.
and this year I'm excited about this year.
I think last year was fun because it was like a trial, and everybody overcame the trial that was there. And also the roads were really bad, and we had a bunch of booze, so you couldn't leave anyway, so you might as well have a good time.
Yeah, once you got there, you weren't leaving until it dried out.
So I'm really glad we all had the pit bikes, and everybody was super chill. There's no fights or anything. Everybody was just like, they're like, hey, we're here. We made it. Like, let's party.
Yeah.
So,
last year was a good
a lot
time,
of
and
fun.
I think that this year is going to be equally as good. It'll be interesting to see how things play out. I don't know if we could ever top last year,
I don't know, man. It's going to be
It'd be hard. It'd be hard for sure.
but I mean, even if we don't, it's still going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, and I just look forward to just throwing a tent and a sleeping bag in the bike and
Oh,
just
yeah.
rolling out for a couple days.
I just hope I don't get stuck in a bush this year. I was stuck in that bush for like 2 hours.
Yeah. So if you guys, I don't even know when those rallies are. Smoky Mountain's later in the year. I think it's like in the fall or something. Mm-hmm. I think it normally is somewhere around Four Corners. You guys did Four Corners last year.
yeah, I want
right?
to do that one again
Yeah.
this year. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Corners is a fun
Four
rally.
Corners
Yeah.
is fun. And we actually rode, they closed that road, I think, over Price.
Highway 6.
I think that is that
whatever
what it is?
one washed out last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Highway 6.
So-
On the way home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we ended up riding, I think, like 820 miles that day. And we took like a big loop back home. Like went out and around. We went to, I think, Grand Junction, Colorado or something. And then up to like Duchesne and the back way over that. And from Grand Junction to like Duchesne and Vernal, there's like this sweet mountain pass, dude, that I never even heard of. It was like straight up and down, just switchbacks. It was awesome.
It was fun.
That might be the road me and Jordan did with my trailer in a blizzard. a few years
No,
back.
it's so fun.
It was not fun. With a 40-foot trailer in whiteout conditions.
Yeah, no, not as cool as the
I don't even know what road that was. Do you remember, Jordan? Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Is the correct word. And honestly, I don't even remember what route it was. I was just like hell bent on getting home because we had been stuck at the border of Nebraska and Wyoming
Oh
for
yeah,
2
that's
days.
when you guys moved out into the trailer, huh?
Yeah, me and Jordan lived in the trailer for 2 days at a truck stop in Nebraska because the I-80 was closed, and I was just like, "Screw this, we're getting home somehow." So we headed south and then west through Denver, and then there was a road closure on 70, like just west of Denver. So we headed north, like up through. I don't even remember the ski town now, but we ended up coming through Duchesne and Vernal.
Okay.
Drives the same speed whether he's hauling a trailer or snowing or not.
I was like hell bent on
I
getting
am
home.
speed.
Yeah, good times though. Well, sweet. We're an hour into this thing. You guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I think I'm good. Yeah, I don't really know.
I can't think of. I don't know. I didn't really think of anything to say anyways.
Yeah, I wasn't
You
prepared.
came as unprepared as I did.
Yep, 100%.
Cool. Well, I love you guys. I love,
Love you
everything
too,
you
man.
do.
We've had a lot of fun together.
Yeah, we've had some good times, some good rides, some good racing. And on a short notice, just calling you guys up, jumping on the podcast with me. I really appreciate you guys.
We
You guys
appreciate
are
being
like
here.
Yeah.
So
Thank
two
you,
of the
man.
most solid dudes I know. Yeah, I really, and just mad respect for you guys.
Same here, man.
And love everything you do. And appreciate you jumping on here and taking some time and telling your story.
Yeah, we
And I hope
appreciate it, man.
people resonate. I mean, I think your stories are great.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, we'll see if your ratings go down. We'll know
I'm
why.
sure we'll be like up for like a Grammy on this one.
I like it.
Tucker Speed podcast canceled.
Tucker Speed with the Hillbillies. Let's go.
Right on. Thank you guys.